was like, crisp one.
Yo.
Hello.
Alrighty. We're back again. What's been going on?
A lot.
Cheers.
Cheers. It was,
week.
massive week. It was only literally this time last week I just got back, I think.
Yeah.
No.
No, you got back, you got back on like Wednesday or Thursday, I think.
But last week?
Yeah, because then we did the first podcast again.
Oh my.
Seems like a lifetime ago, right?
Seems like a lifetime. Yeah, that's right, because I did the boot camp on the plane, the schedule.
Yeah, it's been a huge week. Hey, there's been a lot going on. We got a lot to talk about. Really exciting. A lot of, I guess, like girls specifically that are doing some pretty big things.
Oh,
so I'm very keen to explore that.
Yeah.
And then the boot camp itself, that's been massive. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been really, really exciting.
Yeah.
It's built a lot of momentum. We've seen a lot of growth this week from the girls. And, you know, when I went to see that healer in Bali and he told me that I'm wind,
yeah,
I've kind of been waiting to feel that within She Cells. Like, there's been a lot of like work and like I felt really like I'm in Groundhog Day. I'm like, come on, I want to have breakthroughs.
Yeah.
And I've now just started to see my girls at a place really freaking thrive. Like I'm talking top performers on the accounts. They are outselling people who have been on the accounts and in the space for years.
Yeah.
You know, it's making me feel really, really proud. And also like I am my service works, you know, like it's working.
It's like a full proof of concept now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's wicked. Hey, I mean, you know, we always knew it was going to happen, right? Because we're like, this will happen, but it was just like, I think even we were like, we wanted it earlier, but now it's like we're really starting to see because like the girls that have been showing up every session, putting in the work, doing the role plays.
Yeah.
Like now they're crushing it.
They're really crushing it. Yeah.
They're actually like in the position where it's like, cool, now I can leave my job. Right? Like we had a couple of like case studies, right? Because that's what initially got it. But now we're getting like the masses through.
Yeah. Now we're actually seeing them thrive. Like before it was about finishing the course and getting placed. But I guess something that we didn't touch on is like, you know, walking into a 10K paying per month job is like, you know, that's going to require some refining. There needs to be a certain level of skill set to be able to acquire and earn 10K a month.
Yeah.
And while the opportunity and the possibility is absolutely there, the expectation was misaligned.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, it's been like a real incredible learning experience for me. And
that's going to be the best thing, right? Like when we see that one girl that just like, I've just had like a 20K month.
Oh, God. Like, I know that it's coming for one of my girls very soon. Oh, Ali, for sure.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
That's all. That's
and like,
so
you know
good.
what's amazing as well is, I hope she's not listening to this.
What?
I don't know if I can say, well, I'll just say it. She can. Her husband reached out to me and I know at first, and I know she won't mind me sharing this. I really don't. Like, he kind of had to sit her down before they went to Bali and was like, hey, like you've either got to make this work or like you got to go back to nursing. And that was the thing.
Yeah.
That was like the fire.
The rope was cut.
The rope is gone. Yeah. It's like you got to show this month that you can make it work, or like it's back to nursing. Like it's just the way it's got to be.
That's so interesting that you've said that. So there's literally a guy that's on 7th, right? And like he had that. There was a moment where it was like it was the ultimatum.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Fuck, I need to be here. Like this is where I want to be." And now he just obliterated his target. He had to. It was just like it's not like nothing can change that much in terms of skill set in like a 30-day period.
No,
right?
no.
Like
it's all mindset.
100%.
Yeah.
Like it's like the switch just flipped, and now it's like I'm showing up.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've even had that flip switch like literally this week.
Yeah.
Already, like
thank God.
I was going through a bit of a hey.
I said thank God.
Yeah. Well, like we still go through rough patches.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, and then just immediately, changed some of my patterns, things I was doing, how I was showing up for myself. Immediately changed.
Immediately, yeah.
And it's just the results just start coming through. So it's like Yeah, it's so interesting. But that's interesting that happened for her as well, because that was the
There's always a
ignition.
moment. There's always a moment. That's why I love that question in sales calls, because there is always a moment that ignites action.
Puts things in perspective.
There really is. And you really, like, you can get your prospect to think about it. Like, really allow yourself to think about the moment, and they will think of it. You know, like even today, as an example, in my bootcamp session, I had a special guest speaker come on, and it was just such an incredible and beautiful session. But one of the girls was talking, and you know, the narrator, that's who was the guest speaker. She was asking her, like, what was your childhood like? Like, was this coming up for you? And she was like, no, that it wasn't. And then she was like, okay, but if you really think about moments where you felt XYZ, where were they coming up in your childhood? And then she thought of the moment. She was like, oh, well, you know, I had a boy in my class, unfortunately, pass away of cancer when I was in year 2 or year 3 or something. And that gave me anxiety. And every time I'd go to my mum about it, she would tell me, like, you're being silly. Don't worry.
Wow.
And guess what, Scott?
What?
I had the exact same story. Remember, I watched Titanic, and I was scared of dying. I had a fear of dying after that. And I would go to my mum. So because that clicked for me when she asked me about why I have an inadequacy wound. And she was like, where did it come up in your childhood? I was like, my childhood was beautiful. I had really loving parents. And she was like, doesn't matter. Of course you had loving parents, but there would have been moments for you, a significant moment where you felt inadequate or unworthy. And it wasn't until today that really clicked for me. Where like I remembered every single night I went to my mum and said, Mum, promise me I'm not going to die. Like, promise me. She remembers that. And guess what? She just made me feel silly. Like, of course you're not going to die. Like, stop being silly.
Which, like,
so my anxiety that was evident in me from when I was 8 years old, that little girl that just wanted a hug and like to talk about, you know, where that was coming from, and like, you know, there was just none of that.
That's so, like, my last session with Ben, right? Like, it was so interesting because he's so aware of everything, because he's been doing it a long time, right? There's such a close correlation between the sessions with him and like sales calls. It's really interesting. I'm learning so much from him that I'm like, man, I can use so much of this. Such a learning experience. But he will, so like, through my language, right? He picks up on things. He'll be like, you've noticed that you've said this like 3 times. He's like, this is why. He explains it. And as he's explaining it, and as he's like giving examples, my brain, things that I've never even thought of, it's like pulling from my subconscious at my back end, bringing it to the front. And then even when he starts, he'll be like, so what happened then? Like, what came up? And I'll give the story, and it's like perfectly ties in with exactly what he was explaining. And the way he explains it is like, this really changed it for me, right? Because one of the exercises you do, you write out like a long list of things that like are valuable for yourself. And you're writing out. And like, there were certain things that I really wanted to put on there, but I felt like I couldn't. And he was like, you can do that. Because he's like, the version that what you want to put on there is who you are. Essentially what we're doing here is we're chipping away. If you can imagine, like, it's you, like raw you, and there's just like gunk on you. He's like, so what we're doing here is we're just chipping away the gunk. So it's not that we're creating a new version of you. Like, that is the actual authentic version of you. And I wouldn't have desires to put on that sheet if that wasn't the authentic version of it.
Does
that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then when I heard that, I was like, fuck, it's not that I'm trying to become someone else. It's that is the true version of me, but it's just like, it's hidden. That was such a little breakthrough moment there. Those sessions are amazing.
You've always sort of not really found who you are. That's been like an ongoing thing where you kind of thought that you're this guy, and then you kind of go to being that guy. You've never really like sat in your authenticity. So like, I'm loving hearing that working with Ben is really like, you know, really making you figure it out.
Yeah, well, it's just such a valuable thing. I think everyone would get so much out of like.
Oh, mental.
It's such a I don't know. Maybe it's is it a kind of new age thing, right? Like,
I feel like anyone's successful, and I'm literally going to say this, it might be a controversial opinion.
Yeah.
Any successful person has a mentor.
Yeah.
Literally, like, I work with a very successful business owner who has a mindset mentor, who has a business coaching mentor, who spends thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars because he knows it's invaluable. the stuff that I get from Nez like is invaluable. Every single session, I'm just in awe of
like
how much she knows, and like it really just I don't have words because
it's huge. It's
guess what? Successful people who share that is actually they're telling the truth.
Yeah.
I am a culprit for like feeling, remember that time I sat you down and I was like, oh my God, all these millionaires just talk about like morning routines and having mentors.
How
do
they have time for all this?
Yeah, I'm like, of course they do. They have all this time. And I'm like speaking I'm like, well, how dare I? Like what? I'm not.
Yeah. It's funny, right? Because that so I've got a pretty solid morning routine now. This is something that I was telling all my guys to do, right? And also like my setters. I was like, guys, like, because all of them, it's so funny. Like the further you dig, this is something that's really like, it's good that we're covering this, right? Because like, I don't know if it's just now that I'm so much more cognizant of it, but it seems like that's such a thing that is in the way of salespeople.
Excellence.
Really, 100%. And maybe it's because I'm around such highly skilled people that we're all on the same level with skill set. Like we've got that. But now it's like to get to that next like layer to really see through the matrix, it's like you have to start working on yourself. For sure. Yeah.
Have you watched the video with Will Smith where he's talking about like the difference between a B player and an A player?
No, I haven't.
It's the same, like the way that you can conceptualize it. It's the same going from a millionaire to a billionaire. Know the jump?
Yeah.
Look at the jump. People literally will say things like, "Oh, I could be an A player if I wanted to," and it's like, do you actually realize that to get from a B to an A, the things that get to change? It's not just like a skill set thing. It's you might have to eat different food. You might have to wake up at 3:30 and go for a run. You might have to go to bed at 7:30 every single night. You might have to say no to going out with friends and drinking. Like, are you willing to do that?
Yeah.
It's wild.
Yes. It's crazy, hey. But I mean, we're starting to really like uncover this in ourselves, and we're starting to like train our your girls and my guys as well and stuff, because it's such like it's just such an untapped thing. And like I think everyone kind of like knows that they can do better with it, but then like you just focus on the tangibles, things that are like measurable, because you can't really measure it.
Yeah, and like you can't, and
you can't be like, it's so weird. Like it just, you just kind of have this like understanding that things are changing and things are happening. And it's funny because so Ben was like, man, always send me through voice notes. Whenever you have like a moment, just send it through as a voice note.
That's what Ben says. Oh.
Yeah, and I sent, I'm like, because I wasn't doing like, I wasn't doing it because I'm like, we were kind of early, and I was like, man, I don't want to feel like I'm just dumping shit on this guy.
Yeah.
But then eventually, because now I start to really see the value of it, because he's like, hey, if you do that more often, our sessions will be more productive.
For sure.
I do what's going on.
Yeah.
So now I'm doing it more. And as I'm like explaining to him, he explains why that moment happened. He's like, it's because we did this. And it's really interesting. So like, you think on the surface level, like, I'm just like, I don't really know what's going on. I think we're just having a chat. But then, when he explains it, it's literally exactly like a sales call. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So,
something that like also just to add on to that might give people some value is like something that Nez shared with my girls today is that like an emotion lasts for 90 seconds if you allow it to pass through your body. And I like sit with that for a sec. Because when Oakland has a tantrum, for instance, it's no more than 90 seconds.
Yeah.
Generally. If
there's been moments.
Wait. But if we allow, like, we can then sometimes, because we're triggered, actually make that emotion reappear again. Like, because we're triggered, we'll yell at him, or we'll be like, we'll say something in a triggered way that will actually then start the 90 seconds again.
Yeah, and also like kids can get stuck in that pattern where they're not, the emotion's not there, but it's because they're doing it, they just keep doing it, right?
Yeah.
That's why like if you quickly change the situation, they're just like fine again, they're happy. Well, because there's no real emotion there.
Well, no. Well, no, that's actually because they're releasing it.
Yeah.
Like, because the tantrum is actually a result of him feeling angry or sad or frustrated, right? But as adults, for some reason, I mean, obviously we don't want to see like fully grown adults having tantrums like every day, but we suppress rather than like express, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like today it was an example, like my girls, some of them were getting teary, and instead of allowing and apparently like crying and yawning and burping, that's your body's way to force like homeostasis. So to bring your like to calm your nervous system.
Interesting.
Very interesting, right?
Burping.
Yes. Burping, I yawn a lot. I yawn so much, and I've never wondered why. Just on certain things, that's like calming my nervous system down.
Huh.
Yeah.
What was the other one?
Burping, yawning, and crying.
Crying.
It's like your body's forcing you to calm your nervous system.
Okay.
And I noticed, like, just before the big podcast that I was on, I was yawning so much, and I'm like, what's going on? Like, but that was because I was nervous, and so like I was like calming myself.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, how good. Well, let's talk about
let's talk about sales, because like that's what our
Well, I mean, this is the funny thing, right? Because this is the correlations that I'm drawing now. It's like it makes so much sense because like I guess within my career as well, like I'm at a point now where like everyone's like, bro, you've got like the skills are there. Like it's not a skill thing, right? It's like now it's like the next breakthrough is like seeing that extra layer of the matrix. And it's really funny because I came to that point myself.
Yeah.
I was like, guys, I don't get it. Like I've hit another friction point. I was explaining this to Alex on a coaching session just then. I was like, man, you hit these friction points. I'm like, I feel like I'm at that one.
It's a hockey stick.
Yeah. It's not a simple case of me being like, hey, like go to one of my mentors. They're like, you need to do this different. It's not that anymore. It's like, hey, like you kind of, you know what you need to do. You just need to like, it's hard to explain. But anyway.
No, I get what you're saying. Yeah.
It all ties in, right? But
yeah, it all ties in. But yeah,
let's talk bootcamp because that's been huge.
Yes,
it's been a very full week. I like the way you sprung it on me to jump in and do some sessions.
Well, I didn't. It was planned.
There was one session planned. Well, no, the sessions were planned. But I like that you pulled me in.
Well, because the reason I did that is because I started to think more and more about what I wanted bootcamp to be.
Yep.
And I want it to be an opportunity for people to learn from different people because they hear from me all the time. And I'm not saying I don't have more value to give. Of course I do. I can run that boot camp. But like, I want people to come up and resonate with things that other people do differently because that's going to really like expand their mind and also expand their toolkit.
100%.
And I'm not saying that they need to like, because I'm very big on not just emulating me because what works for me isn't going to work for everybody, right?
Yeah.
So I liked you coming in because A, you're a man, and B, you know, the focus of this bootcamp was learning more about the masculine and the feminine. That's why I had Tash and I had Nerida come in as well and talk about emotional homes and all of that. And I was like, great. So we've had a big, you know, feminine sales approach and framework. So feminine, very feminine. So having you come in like was a really beautiful juxtaposition of the two energies and how we can pull on both to be really successful in a sales call. And I genuinely believe my girls who are doing that are like soaring to the top.
Yep.
Because they've got so many natural assets that they're starting to use and they're aware of.
Yep.
And then they're also allowing themselves to masculinity, to challenge, to give a responsibility frame, to share a perspective, to objection handle. Like it's the winning combo.
That's the biggest thing is like when you get to a certain point, yes, you can start to focus on just one person, but I think it is very important to be exposed to different people's styles.
Definitely.
Because like if they're just you, right? Like then what can happen is they start to see like a one dimension of it.
Yes.
Now, that's not a bad thing, yet they will never be you. So that can prove to be an issue. Now, what can happen when they see someone else, they draw similarities and they go, perfect, like that's the winning thing. Grab that and then add my style to it. So you start to draw the similarities, then you can add your own flavor. That's when you start to like find yourself and that's when you start to really accelerate. So yeah, I think it was good. Like it was really fun sessions. Like I love doing that.
Yeah, and the girls have been really grateful. And honestly, the transformations and the growth that we've seen this week, it's been really what She Sells needed because...
And they haven't even got their hands on the accelerator.
They haven't even touched the surface. That's what's so exciting is like, you know, there's so much depth to sales and there's so much you learn about yourself.
Yeah.
How much have you learned about yourself through doing sales? Like
that was the biggest thing that got me kind of into it as well, right?
How did you do that?
I don't know. Like, because someone once told me, I can't remember who it was. They were like, sales, it's almost like it's like forced personal development because like it's a clear representation how you're performing, like is how you're showing up in life. right? You can't be a piece of shit in life and be selling well.
Nope.
It doesn't work. Like you can't be sleeping in, like getting pissed every night, eating shit, like not showing, like not going to the gym. You can't do it. Like if you are being the best version of yourself, your sales goes through the roof because you've got everything there: conviction, confidence. Like you just on.
You feel good.
Yeah, and like
do you think it's like this is a controversial opinion again, right? And it's something that my fucking competitor, direct copycat, has said. So I'm.
Did she just cut a snippet from something you said?
No way, I would never say this. This is why it's controversial. Okay, right. She wrote on her Instagram the other day, pull me the face cards of every single top performer.
Okay.
Like face cards is in photo, right?
Okay.
Who they are. Yep. She was like, I guarantee you every single one of them would be hot. Like that's just because she uses that childish language. But like what she means is like they're well kept. They're gonna be in shape. They're gonna be like they're gonna be well kept.
Yeah.
They honestly, and I'm like, that actually made me stop and think, and I'm like, she's right, because when you look after yourself, you're gonna sell better naturally because you've got that confidence in who you are, and who you are speaks louder than the words you say. Yeah. So like it all just kind of.
But also, it's like because you want to like sales is leadership, right? So like if you don't kind of like want to follow the leader because you don't aspire to like be them or be led by them, then you're not going to follow, right? So like it's like people buy you, people buy who they want to be, who they want to be.
Who they want to be sold by, yeah.
Yeah. Like, so you've got to be the guy that you would buy it by.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Like if I'm showing up in my Zoom room like raggedy ass, red eyed, just flat. Like if I'm on the other end of that, I'm like, why would I buy what you're selling me?
Exactly.
Like look at what you look like.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Like I may not even on a subconscious level, like it plays such a factor.
Yeah, we judge.
Yeah.
We do.
Yeah.
And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but we attach meaning to things. So we see someone who's not looking after themselves, and we naturally, attach a meaning that they're like.
So quite literally, there are like I think it's 3 main things that your brain just immediately does.
Yeah.
Whether you say, "Oh, I don't do that."
Oh, we already know about speaking in absolutisms. Yeah.
So number 1 is age.
Yep.
Like you cannot. You don't even comprehend it. Your brain is automatically forming a opinion of someone on age.
Really?
Race, age, race, and sex. Those 3 things. Without you even knowing about it, you could be like, oh no, I don't like I don't judge people on this, but on a subconscious level, your brain literally
race. Really?
Yes. Yeah.
But I've always learned that's a learned behavior.
Well, you got to think your brain is drawing differences. Right. So if I'm 30 and I see someone that is 60, my brain automatically is like, this person's different. There's senses of like judgment and past experiences that I attach to that. And you literally cannot even control it.
Yeah. Wow.
Like that's like a full NLP thing, right? Like understanding that. Other things you can more through like experiences and exposures, right? So if you were to like have a negative experience with a certain type of person, then you start to like attach more meaning to it. But like those 3 things are like automatic.
Yeah, wow.
Right? So like it's interesting. But back to the boot camp, right? So we had some wicked sessions. So I guess the best part, right, was going through our kind of like our call flow.
Yeah.
I reckon that is such a solid model.
Well, oh my God. Well, we actually, I'm very proud of that too. We wanted to make this boot camp. Well, now we're not going to say we, because you said that it was last minute that I pulled you in, but I wanted to make this boot camp more about the concepts, which is something that you actually taught me, is that you teaching concepts, and since you said that, it literally lives in my mind rent free, because I'm like, that's true. If you understand the concept, you know where to take your prospect. And what I was seeing, like a bit of a roadblock, or I guess like not a roadblock, like a dead end.
Yeah.
For a lot of my girls who are like good, they're good.
Yeah.
But they're not elite yet.
Yeah.
And the very thing is that they didn't understand the concept. So they would do the things like, hey, can I share a perspective?
Yeah.
And then they would share the perspective, but their perspective wasn't changed. And then they would move on.
Mm-hmm.
So they just didn't understand the concept. And now, like after this boot camp, they're starting to get it. They get it. They understand the concept. So they're moving through that last little phase to get to that unconsciously competent learning stage. Where it just happens. Like, honestly, I have never felt so proud. This is the podcast of Ellie. But I want to share that story because I think it's really powerful.
Yeah.
Ellie came to me back in November, not even November, I think it was October. Yeah, end of October last year, where like She Sells was just chat.
Yeah.
That's all it was really. It was just a dream. And she said to me, like, I was in the car. I remember the moment so vividly. I was in the car. I was about to go and get a tan and I booked in a call with Ellie to talk about what she wanted. And we spoke and she's like, I don't want to go back to nursing. Like, I'm literally... I'm already coming up to 6 months with her son. Like, I don't want to go back. Oh, no, maybe it wasn't even 6 months. It was like, I've only got 6 months maternity. Like, I don't want to go back. For my last baby, like, I want to be around. And I was like, okay. I was like, well, why don't I just like, you can be like my first sort of guinea pig and I'll just train you for free.
Yeah.
I'll just run sessions with you. And I ran like 3 sessions with her a week and she kind of just jumped on wherever she could, any session. I was getting her to jump on sessions that clients. I was getting her to jump on anything. And then like, I don't remember when we placed her, but we placed her like relatively early. Yeah. And she's still on the same account.
Yep.
And this week she's had her best week ever.
How good.
But let's look at the timeline here. Like for anyone new coming in, because something that really grinds my fucking gears is like people who come into the community don't do anything. Like I don't know if they've gone through Launchpad. They haven't submitted any assignments. Like they don't come to any live coaching sessions. But then the moment I post a job offering, they're like, me. And I feel like writing back being like, who the fuck are you? I genuinely feel like writing that back. Like, why would I put you
like,
forward?
Oh, hey, nice to meet you.
Yeah,
like,
nice to meet you. Like, why would I put you forward? I have no idea how you can sell. Do you understand that I'm putting my name, my reputation, you are backed by me, and I have no idea how you speak, what you look like, how you sound, what you know, what's your experience. Have you done the Launchpad?
Yeah. That's why the accelerator is going to be so interesting, right? Because we know that they're going to be at like a really good standard once they've done it.
Yeah.
So like you're going to have very high confidence of like, I'm happy to put this girl forward.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because you know that like they've showed up to all the sessions. You know they've gone through the course. It's like, they're going to be, it's going to be amazing. Yeah,
it is. And it's been a thing in the works for ages. So I appreciate everyone's patience because I'm not a perfectionist. You know what's crazy? Yeah. I'm not a perfectionist. I'm
definitely not.
I am far from a perfectionist, right? But yet with this course, I have wanted it to be perfect. And I don't know what that's about, but like,
well, it's different now, right? Like you've got such a relationship with these, such an obligation there to like, give them the best value possible.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, like, you don't want perfection to be the enemy of good.
Correct.
So like, you don't want it to hold out. The biggest thing is that you always revise and make things better.
Yes. Like and that's definitely what it's been doing. It's been like actually preventing me. Like, remember when you came in and I was filming one of the sessions for the accelerator and it was like literally a 25-minute session. And
you said like one thing wrong.
I said, no. The computer like alarm dropped down and it was in the entire session. And I was furious. Like I like have been on a different planet this week in terms of like just. Yeah, I've definitely been coming from a place of anger. I don't know why, but that's another story. But I was so angry. I was like punching the screen. Remember, I punched the screen.
Yeah, look, I can't unsee that. That's forever burnt in my brain. Brooke punch the laptop screen, and like we both just sat there for like a couple seconds, and I was You were like, I didn't know that.
Does your laptop still work? No, guys. Okay. Everyone's probably thinking like I just tapped the screen. No, I fully fucking punched it.
I was surprised your fist didn't go through it or like, it was cracked or something. It was pretty absurd.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
Yeah. No, it's really, even just what you said before about like getting to certain points, not understanding concepts. Like, so the session that I just had then, like one of my guys, he's at that point now where he's like, like I'm like reading the script. And I was like,
Yeah, he's like, second top of the leaderboard, hey?
He is, yeah.
So who's above him?
Who's
one of my girls.
Yeah. How good's that though?
I know. No, I know.
That's amazing.
I know.
But no, it was like, that's why I was like, look, it's good to like, a script is a really good start point. Get the words, but like, you don't read it. You get the words and you get the questions as little checkpoints.
Yeah.
So I showed him all my ones. But then the biggest thing is like, I started to show him the framework, right? And when you look at it at first, I'm like, whoa. But then I started breaking it down. He was just like, I can see how this is powerful. And I was going back to the script and back to the framework, and he was drawing the similarities. But it like changes it from a script and sound like a scripted robot to being like, because the biggest thing like that will make you sell is connection. That's all it is. It literally is just connection, right? It's connection with purpose.
Emotional connection.
Connection. Now, if you're reading a script, or there is a point where you break connection because you're like, fuck, where am I? Like, you're cooked. It's done.
Or you don't validate something that they've said, or you ask them a question instead of acknowledge. Yeah, correct.
Whereas like just having a framework that you clearly understand, you have so much fluidity. It's so much fun as well. That's what I was explaining. Because it's like, now there's no anxiety of like, oh, where am I? It's just having a chat and you're just exploring. It's like, you know exactly where you're going. And you know what's coming up.
Yeah, and have you seen sales scripts? They're wild.
Yeah, if this, then do this.
Yeah,
like
if they say this, do that.
The sun is in like this road. Yeah, it's wild.
It's literally nuts. Like, you read that and you're just like, how does anyone follow this? Like, I very quickly threw the fucking script in the bin.
Yeah.
And because it started to make me realize, like, you just naturally sound robotic when you read a script. Of course you do.
Yeah.
You're reading words that someone else wrote.
And also, like, I'm one of those, because I can't read. I can read.
You can't read?
No, I can read, but I don't read books. And the reason why is because I'm one of those guys that will.
Okay, let's give some context here. He reads, as in like he listens to audiobooks.
Oh yeah,
like,
no, I read a lot of books.
Yeah,
but I listen to a lot of books.
Sorry, listens. Yeah.
Right. So, but in terms of reading, the reason why I don't read is because I'm one of those guys that I'll read 4 or 5 pages, and I go, what the fuck did what? Like I'm off. Like, I'm thinking about something else. Yet I'm still reading, but none of it is sinking in. So like, I can't just read a script over and over again and like memorize it. It just didn't work for me. So I was a visual guy, right? So I actually just like visually mapped out the whole process. And then I was like, like it makes so much sense now. Like, I just had all these phases just broken down. And then that's essentially how we kind of came up with that flow, which is amazing.
It's amazing. It's just a very like, it just makes sense. They literally read from top to bottom. They're like, I got to speak like this, and these are the questions I have to ask. So it doesn't have to be in that order. It just has to be like, do not pass go until you get these. I love that. Yeah. Well, let's not give too much away.
No, we won't give too much. But what's cool
if you want it, like you come in like.
Yeah, but what's cool is because with this bootcamp, right? We like as I was walking through, I was doing it, right? So I was like, hey, give me anything to sell, because like with this framework, it doesn't matter what it is. It can be business coaching, fitness, like marketing, anything, right? And what was it that I was selling? It was like anxiety
coaching,
mindset coaching. Yeah, right. I just took them through the exact same framework.
Yeah, and they were like, "Oh my god, that's amazing."
Well, yeah, but then we did a live sales call role play on the spot, right?
Yeah,
and like they were all there, kind of like checking off, like, did I get what I needed? Did I hit all the boxes? And it was just a conversation, right?
And like, Scott, just so that the audience understand, like,
I've never sold anxiety.
No. I'm talking about the live role play that we did. So you were selling the She Sells program. I didn't prepare him for this session at all. There was no preparation whatsoever, because I genuinely wanted the girls to see how, if you understand this framework on the spot, you can sell to anyone, anything.
Yeah.
Right. So there was and like, the reason I know how freaking hard and amazing that is because when you told me, remember when I did Jamie's podcast and I did live objection handling and you were like, Brooke, that's like, are you serious? Like, I don't know anyone who would have done that. And I'm like,
yeah, that was pretty ballsy.
I know. Yeah. How did I do that? Like, how did I do that? I was like,
no, like I just like, because it's not even like this. It's just the being on the spot thing. You know what I mean? It's not that like, hey, it's risky because like, what if you don't know the skills? It's like, you got the skills, but it's like when you put on a spot like that, your brain doesn't work as efficiently.
I actually am so much better than like when I was doing, and now I would actually be a bit like, oh my God, did I say that on his podcast? But like, it's all, you know, what's great about that is at the time I backed myself. I was just like, had all this confidence and I was like, this is what you do.
No, I've listened to that. It's like, it still holds up.
Yeah. Okay. With no context. And like, same with you, you had no context. You had 25 girls staring at you and you just did it. And it was amazing. And literally like all the girls were just like blown away by how you did that.
No, I think it's like, I think it was really good to showcase that because like, I don't know, people think that sales is like so one dimensional, like you can just read a script but it's not. It's like human psychology on such a high level, and it's like the persuasion skills translate across so much more.
Yeah. Do you know what I hear all the time that people think, like a big misconception is I don't know anything about technology, or I don't know anything about fitness, or I can't sell fitness. I don't know anything. I don't know the first thing about it.
When I told people that I was selling cybersecurity, they were like, you don't know anything? I was like, I don't barely even know how to turn a computer on. I was like, yeah, I don't know jack about shit, but that's not what it is. Like,
no, you haven't been with the problem.
Exactly. It's just a vehicle.
Let's actually do that scenario that we ran through yesterday about the vacuum cleaner, because this is a really great way to get people to understand like when they actually decide to take the next step in doing something, right?
Yeah.
So let's use a vacuum because that's a good example. So would you buy a vacuum if you had a vacuum already and it was working fine? Like it was just a bit run down. Like it, it wasn't great, but it still worked.
Yeah, no, and even if there was like ads popping up, right? Like it's not even like, I'm not even problem aware enough to click.
You're like, look, the vacuum cleaner's old, but like I'm not spending fucking $700 on a new vacuum.
There's a reason why Facebook only targets you with ads that you know you need.
Yeah.
It doesn't just pump you full of all of them because it's not going to be effective.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's when you start looking for vacuums, right?
Okay.
Vacuums. Yeah. So you wouldn't buy a vacuum if you didn't need to, basically, right? Okay. So let's change the scenario. Let's say like the vacuum started to really slow down.
Okay.
So you're noticing now, like
the sucking quality is just not there.
Sucking quality is not there. Like
fucking hate that.
Literally, like you're going over things multiple times, and you're like, sucker. In fact, you've actually turned the vacuum cleaner over and you've picked up the thing off the floor and you've like put it inside the vacuum.
Barely, it still falls out. One of them ones. Okay.
Yes. Right.
Yeah.
So like at that point,
right now, listen.
Yeah. Right. But like it's still, you can still use it. It still does like majority of the crumbs. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. 4 times the amount of time. Right. Are you buying a new vacuum?
Definitely out there looking.
You're looking, right? Yeah. You're maybe like toying with the idea, but you're not. There's like, nah.
Yeah.
Okay, but let's now add this next element, right? Let's say your son, your beautiful son, he is drinking, because he's a big boy now. He's drinking milk from a glass, and the glass drops. Dangerous, right? And you're like, shit. All right, I'm gonna like quickly grab the vacuum.
Vacuum cleaner.
Yeah, get your vacuum. You mop it up. It looks good. It's all done.
Okay.
He hops off the chair and he cuts his foot open. Right? Are you buying a vacuum?
Yeah.
Immediately.
Top priority. Yeah.
Correct. So like, let's just go through that little segment.
Yep.
The first thing was like, you had a vacuum that was kind of shitty. You didn't care.
Yeah.
It wasn't on the top of your priority list, right? You're not buying a vacuum. The next layer was like, the vacuum starts to get even more shitty. And so you become problem aware. You're like, I'm looking.
Yeah.
I'm window shopping. I'm going to a few different, I'm having a look.
I'm speaking with a lot of different
people.
Vacuum cleaners. Yeah.
And then your son cuts his foot open because of the shitty vacuum. So now there's like pain. Like you are feeling guilty because you should have bought a vacuum cleaner already. So guess what you're doing now?
Now there's an identity because I'm a shit dad.
Correct. So it's not about the vacuum. It's about what happened because you didn't.
Yeah. And now I'm becoming solution aware because I'm hyper looking into vacuum cleaners.
And then guess what?
Suction.
Yeah, correct. And then you're like, hey, all that time that I've spent turning my vacuum upside down and putting the hair strands into it, I might invest in a RoboVac.
Yeah. There we go. Right?
That's it for me.
So like essentially what we're explaining here, guys, like this is the different levels of awareness.
I like this little.
It's just such a good analogy because like, it's such a simple thing. Because people think like, oh, like it's like, how is there like pain in in a vacuum. So the reason why we're saying a vacuum cleaner is because like it's such a dumb thing that you wouldn't really think. But like, there is always something there. There is.
Otherwise, the problem just remains a problem, right?
Yeah, and like if there's no real like desire or pain behind it, you're just not going to do it. Now, pain doesn't have to be like I'm going to die.
I know
because I don't have a wicked vacuum cleaner. But like the pain could just be like, man, I still have a corded vacuum cleaner, and I have to unplug and plug that thing in like 5 different times to do my house, and it takes like an extra hour.
Yep. And you know
now the pain is I'm losing time, money, and freedom, right? Like the biggest things.
You know another painful thing? Like, you know when you haven't vacuumed in a while and you're actually like walking barefoot and the crumbs get under your foot? So like imagine if you didn't have a vacuum and then all of a sudden that was building up. It will get to a point where you're like literally dusting crumbs off the bottom of your foot and you're like, shit, that's rank. Like I need to go and get a vacuum. So like pain doesn't have to be deep.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be like I'm going to die or like my son cut his foot. Like that was just an exaggerated example to get you to understand the different layers. But like what I'm saying is without pain, if crumbs weren't coming under your foot, you're not going to go and buy a vacuum. Like you're not.
Yeah. But that's the beautiful thing. It doesn't matter what it is, right? It could be anything. It could be vacuums, it could be fitness.
New phone,
laptop, yeah.
Like my laptop's getting slow now. Like I punched it the other day.
I saw that.
You know, like that's starting to give me a lot of pain.
Yeah.
So Scott, I need a new laptop.
Yeah. We're getting there, right? We're becoming problem aware.
It's not, I'm above problem aware. I've literally, if you look at my saved in my favorites, I have the exact one that I need.
Yeah.
It's $4,000.
Well, there you go.
Hey, something I want to talk about before we wrap it up. What's the time? How long we got?
It's been about 40 minutes.
All right. Well, let's just spend the last couple of minutes talking about this. So can you just explain to everyone the Batman analogy?
Okay.
Do it on me.
Okay, cool. Well, I'll explain it.
No, do it on me first and then explain it. Because it's really powerful. I want someone to just hear it and then explain it.
Okay, cool. So this one got used on me, right? And this landed like a ton of bricks. Right? So let's say, give me context though. Just give me context.
No, I just want you, like, there's no context. I just want you to explain it so that like people can hear it.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So it's like, okay, Brooke, have you ever watched Batman?
Which one?
So, which one is it?
The Bane. It's one with Bane.
The one with Bane. What is that? I think it's
the Dark Knight
Dark Knight Rising.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen Dark Knight Rising?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So you know how like when he gets thrown in the pit, right? Now, the only way out of the pit is to make an impossible jump. Okay? Now, he has to make the impossible jump to get to the rope, which essentially is his lifeline to climb out and have freedom, right? It's to achieve the desired state. Now, there's only one person that's made that jump, okay? The kid. Now, in the heat of the moment, the kid made the jump because the kid absolutely had to, okay? There was nothing. There was no lifeline. He just had to do it. There was no plan B. Now, what's happening for yourself is you have what Batman had at the time, which was a safety net. It's a rope tied around the waist. Now, what that allowed him to do was it allowed him to fail because that rope saved his life every time he did. Now, only until he got to the point where he was able to make the jump was when he cut the rope. Now, cutting the rope, there's no plan B. Okay? So for you, can you see that XYZ is your rope? You will never make that jump. You will never be able to get out of the hole, get to desired state until you cut that rope.
Oh my God, I have goosebumps.
But this is the funny thing, right? So one of my mentors used that analogy on me. I think I've already spoken about this, right? But anyway, I'll do it again. And that just landed like a ton of bricks. I was like, shit, that is so true. And then the second I cut the rope, right? And then everything changed. Literally had the biggest month of my life. So like, it's so true. But why did you want that?
So I believe that that same scenario can reappear in multiple different ways. Like, you know, you might cut the rope and then the next rope appears, and then you cut that rope and then the next rope appears, right? That's how you obviously grow.
Yeah.
And I guess for the last 3 years, close to 4, I've had a pretty big rope attached to me. And I've tried to on multiple occasions, you know, maybe sell on a different account or move to a different offer. And I've always been pulled back into the pit. Not that it was a pit, but I'm just like, this is how I conceptualize it in my mind, right?
Yeah, I get it.
And just recently I was like, right, I'm going to like tether the rope. I didn't fully cut it. I'm going to tether it. And what I mean by that is,
you mean like you're going to like fray it?
Yeah, I'm going to fray it so that there's only like one little like string hanging on. Yeah, right. And I was like, cool, that's a step. That's a step. Maybe I'll be able to make the jump like just with the tethered rope. And what I mean by that is like I stopped, the rope's still there, yeah. So I stopped taking sales calls, right, which is huge for me. Anyone who knows me knows how like attached I was to that.
Yeah.
So why I say the tethering of the rope is because like I still was coaching the sales team for that business. So there was still like a, you know, I was like, oh, I could open my calendar and do some sales calls. I was like, oh, I could do that.
Yep.
And
Plan B is always there.
Exactly.
I could fail at this.
Exactly. I could go in all to she sells, but you know, if it doesn't work out, like I could
I've
just
always got this.
Correct. Correct. Now, guess what's happened?
Yeah.
Like that last little like link of rope that I was holding onto is I've been forced to cut it.
Yep.
Literally forced. Like it just broke.
Yeah.
So now the way that I'm looking at myself is like I'm on the floor. You know, when Batman's lying on the floor and he's like bruised, he's beaten, he's broken.
Like you're about to have a montage.
Yeah. Well, anyway, like the old man, he looks to him and he's explaining, he's sharing a perspective. Right? Oh my God, Chris.
Gives him that one line of the
Yeah. Okay. That's so that like let's go back. That was me on the floor, bruised, beaten. And the old man turns to me and gives me that advice. And I'm fucking like, yup. I pick myself back up. I'm like climbing up to that one spot.
Cue the montage. Yep.
Mm-hmm. We need like music, motivation music. Yep. And I'm about to take the jump. Mm-hmm. I'm there. Mm-hmm. I'm there.
Everyone's going, ooh. Yep.
Ooh. No, what do they say? No, it's like,
that's not
something.
That's like Wolf of Wall.
No. Okay, yeah. No, but they are saying like something like that.
I don't know, something like that.
Anyway, that would have been cool if you could have done that. As I'm about to take that jump, I turn around and I climb back down into the pit.
So, do you elaborate? What was that?
I accepted like a sales manager job. I had my moment and I failed.
But you know what?
It will show up again.
You can always just start climbing straight back.
Yeah. But this is the thing, right? The universe will show it to me again. Yeah. So like.
Well, what happened was, right, is like the rope was cut and it was replaced.
Correct. Yeah, that's what I mean. I turned around and walked back down to the pit because I was like, "Oop, back goes on the rope." And like, guys, like, please don't take this the wrong way. Like, I am very grateful for this opportunity that I have.
Yeah,
I'm very, very grateful. I'm learning so much from what I'm doing, but I was at the brink of taking the jump. Literally, I was like gearing up for it. That was Cancun right there. This is like, if we're starting to put it in experiences, that was Cancun. I was like, right, I'm ready. I'm taking the jump. I'm climbing out of this pit. Like this is my moment. And then like right at like the time, of course, the universe was testing me because it's like, have you learned your lesson, Brooke? Have you learned your lesson? And the answer was no, I have not. No, I haven't, universe. So fuck.
Yeah.
But I just think that's a really beautiful thing to share, really transparent as well. I was about to just jump all in.
At least you're self-aware of it.
Oh, yeah. I'm very self-aware of it. It's what Nerida says all the time. She's like, you know it, but you do it anyway.
Yeah.
I'm like, I know.
It's so funny. Well, it's not funny, right? But everyone always says, like, the biggest change happens when you're at rock bottom. Because at rock bottom, there's no rope. There is no safety net. You have to make it work.
I know. Yeah.
So, like, there's no choice in that situation, right?
Yeah.
It's only up.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
a good place to end.
I think so too. It's a really good lesson to anybody as well who might be in a similar situation where, like, you know, maybe after this boot camp as an example, like maybe some of them have written out their resignations and they're ready to just go all in, sink or swim, take the leap, right? And then what's going to happen is a test. It always does. Now, you get to choose, and there's no right or wrong answer, but you can choose to pass the test and take the learning and not do it again, or you can choose to fail it because you're not ready, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, just because I know how scary it is to cut that rope to one of the most deadliest things in the world, which is a monthly salary. I know that I still battle with it. Hence why I turned around and walked back down.
Yeah.
Because I still battle with that employee mindset where I'm like, okay, now I know what I'm going to earn every month.
Safe. Yeah.
It's like, Brooke, like I need a slap. I need to be slapped. Like, don't punch me like I punched my computer, but like, seriously. Oh, God. Anyway.
Alrighty. Do you feel better?
I do.
Okay.
I feel good that I'm sharing that with the listeners as well.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. That's like that's it.
Yeah.
Now you just need to like, we need to change that.
We need to tether the rope again.
Tether. I like that. I don't know if it's the right word, but
what does tether mean?
Like tethering is when you tie a rope.
No. Tether is when it like starts to fray.
That's fraying.
Oh.
That's all right. That's right.
Okay.
Yeah, you need to cut the rope, or you need to start fraying it again.
I thought tethering was like kind of chipping away at it.
If you're tethered to something, you're tied to it.
Oh God! All right. Well, let's scratch tethered from all of the last like 10 minutes of conversation. I was talking about fraying.
That's all right. I corrected it, but
only just then.
No,
why did you were nice. You were being nice, not kind. Shame on you. Shame on you.
All right. Well, let's leave it there. So yeah. Any parting words?
No, I really want cut the rope. But
cut the rope, back yourself, take a chance.
Yeah.
Don't leave a plan B, right? Make sure you and your family are safe and taken care of, but put yourself in an uncomfortable position where you cannot fail.
Exactly. Yeah. I just want people to think on that. Just reflect, because the universe is always testing you. Because if you don't learn the lesson you're supposed to learn, it will come back, like even in a different lifetime.
That's it.
That's what's wild, is people can go their whole life
without ever
passing those tests. So it keeps coming back. And the universe gets pissed off. Because like, come on, how many times does this have to happen before you learn?
Yeah.
So some people die without having made that lesson, and they will come back and have to literally figure it out.
Yeah.
That's genuinely my belief.
Yep.
So become self-aware and start to recognize patterns that you do that's holding you or keeping you the same. And then fray the fucking rope if that's how you need to start, and then cut it.
Powerful.
Yeah.
Powerful. All right.
Alrighty, guys. Enjoy your weekend.
Take care. Peace.